Hello everyone, welcome back for part 3 now. So in this episode I'm going to be showing you all how I do the stencils for the dome and the cheek area here. Normally I don't make stencils for the upper cheek because there's not a whole lot of damage usually. You can usually just eyeball it. But I think this time around I'm going to actually make a stencil at least for this area here because there's a big spot of damage here. And there's some stuff on the other cheek. But anyway, what you're going to want for this little step area here, you're going to need some scissors obviously, and let's see, I want some of this tracing paper. You can get this at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, it's kind of in the paper section. Just any kind of tracing paper really will do, you don't have to have this exact kind. And then you're going to want a pencil. I couldn't find a pencil, but you want a pencil. I just use a mechanical pencil. It doesn't really matter what kind of pencil you use. Yeah, any kind of pencil will do, honestly. Just don't use other pens. So normally what I like to do, the dome is kind of tricky as far as the stencils go because there's not really anything to line up and like judge sizes off of. I mean, if you do your damage right, you can kind of line that up, but I'll show you that later once we go to the computer and actually make the stencils. But overall, like the top of the dome, that's going to be kind of tricky, making the stencils perfect. But as far as the cheeks, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I do that. So you're going to want to take your tracing paper here, preferably cut a little square out because you don't want to try to take the whole entire sheet to do this. So you just want to roughly get a piece that's the size of your cheek. Try to do this without blocking the camera here. So you got your square cut out. Like I said, just make it like slightly bigger than the area you're gonna be copying. So we got our damage here, we got the cheek here, and basically just gonna put your tracing paper down and we're just gonna basically trace out the shape of this cheek area. Okay, so you got the rough size of your cheek traced out. Go ahead and finish that one. So now what you're going to do is just go ahead and cut this piece out. Alright, so we got this cut out, and we're going to go ahead and hold it up to here. And I'm going to see if anything really needs refined or not. So it looks like, you know, that circle area is not quite in the right spot. And it looks like I could probably trim off a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Alright, so we got that. And it's looking good. Looks perfect actually. Might need to trim that a little bit more. Alright, now we're perfect. So I'm going to do the other cheek real quick. I don't really see the point in showing you that. You're just going to do the same exact thing as you did on this cheek. So I'm going to do that real quick and then I'll show you how I do the dome. So overall this looks pretty decent, pretty happy with this. So these stencils are nice because you can keep these stencils and then next time you do a PP2 helmet or whatever helmet you're doing, you can just reuse these stencils, so that's pretty nice. That's what I do for all my helmets. Now the only time you won't be able to reuse them is say, like I said, this is an MDF helmet, so say the next helmet I do is not an MDF helmet. It's probably going to be slightly different as far as, you know, size of the cheeks and everything. Like overall they'll probably be close, but it'll be a little bit different. So I'll probably have to make new stencils for that. So as far as my stencils go, I have a couple different sets depending on the helmet I'm painting. But for now, these will do fine because I don't know PP2 helmet. So these should last me a while. Alright, so next we're going to be doing the dome. Now, for this it's going to be tricky because I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to line up the damage perfectly, because I know there's a damage spot here on the helmet, and then you have all the damage that kind of comes off of here and goes down, and then there's some other spots here, so those parts won't be too bad. As far as the damage back here though, it's going to be kind of tough to scale that properly, but I'm going to do my best. Alright, so we're going to start with this area here. Try to lower this down so you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a big square area. Move those stencils to the side. Get all my straps out of here. So I'm gonna take this whole sheet, and I'm gonna want to cut a big enough piece that will probably cover a lot of this area here, because I know there's a big damage spot there. So I'm gonna cut out a big square for that area right now. Should be pretty good. So what I'm gonna do is, on the stencils, they show the turn signals on there. So what I'm gonna do is, just like the other area, like when I traced the whatever it's called, cheek area, I'm gonna just go ahead, line this up, and I'm just gonna trace these turn signals. So now when I go in on the stencil, I'm just going to line these turn signals up, and then I'll just draw the damage or trace the damage based off of that. As far as the dome, like I said, I know the damage is going to come down like this on that area. So I'm going to cut out a big enough square to cover this area. So just like the turn signals, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trace this dome here, or the dent here. So once you got that, when we go on the computer, we'll just line this up and just trace the damage accordingly. Now for the rest, I'm probably just going to have to make a guess. There is some damage on the top that I added, so I can probably use that to kind of relate the damage and scale it right. But as far as all this damage back here, the back of the dome, it's kind of just going to be guesswork for the most part. I'll just have to look at reference images and hope that I get it pretty close. Oh yeah, and also, I want to go ahead and do this spot real quick, this damage area. For that, I believe there's pretty big area of damage here, and then there's some damage right here. So I'll probably just cut out a big enough piece so I can do both of those in the same one. Alright, so now you should have your dent piece, the piece you're going to use to make the damage right here, the piece you traced your turn signals on, and then your cheek pieces. I'll probably end up making upper cheek piece as well. I think I might just do it for this little area here. I might just trace this damage, that way I can just get that circle right. And then there's also some damage that comes up from the cheek up here, so I might go ahead and make a little stencil for that area too, but we'll see. Alright, so that's it for this part. You got your stencils made. We're not completely made, but you get the sizing made for them. Now we're going to head over to the computer. If you don't have a computer, You probably could use like an iPad or something. If you don't have any of those, this is going to be tough for you. I don't know how you're going to really make these stencils. Maybe you could print them out, but even then, if you have a computer and stuff, I don't know how you can print them out. But anyway, we're going to head to my computer and I'm going to show you how I actually make the damage pieces on the stencil. Alright, so now we're on the computer and we're going to go ahead and start tracing all this damage onto our stencils. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the left cheek here. I know it's, left cheek. So I like to use PZAP, but you can use any kind of photo editor. This one's alright. You can't really like super finely adjust the size of this stuff, but you can, like, you know, grab it and stretch things if you need to make it fit better according to your stencil. So all you're going to do is, once you've got this sized correctly, you're just going to hold it up to your computer screen or your iPad screen, whatever you're using, and you're just going to make sure everything seems to fit correctly. As you can see on the stencil and my scratch here, on the stencil here, the damage is a little bit lower than how it is on my actual cheek. So when I do that, I'm just going to lower this scratch to be in the middle there, and then I'll just trace the damage around it, and then I'll bring this back and then continue tracing on. But that's really all you're going to do. You're going to hold this up to your screen and just going to trace away, basically. Alright, so once you've got that all traced, it basically just applies to everything else you made. So we'll go to the other. Actually, I'm going to trace this upper cheek real quick. I'm not going to do the whole thing because there's only like this damage here that I want to replicate, basically. So alright, so we got that cheek done as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll time-lapse the whole thing because I think you understand the concept now of how we're going to do all this damage. You're just going to keep lining up your areas, and same with, like I said, with the dome and stuff. When we pull up that image, we'll just match this up with the dome damage on the stencil, and then we'll just trace away that way as well. Alright, so for the most part, you kind of get the gist on how this needs to be done. One thing I did want to point out, on the stencil here, on this scratch here, you can see for whatever reason it looks like, I don't know, it's just green there in the middle randomly. But if you look on the actual helmet, you can see that it's one solid scratch. So I'm not sure if that was like a mistake or something, but sometimes when you're going over these stencils, you just want to make sure you look at actual pictures just to make sure. Most of the time these stencils are really good. Raphael did a really good job on these stencils. So overall, they're pretty much perfect. I mean, I'm assuming there's probably a reason he did that, but from what I see in this picture on the photo shoot, it's a solid scratch, so I would just make sure you do that. and don't add this random green area in the middle. But other than that, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna get the other dome damage on here. I'm gonna make stencils for that. I have a different picture I'm gonna use, so I want to delete this, and I'm just gonna go cut out some squares and image will load. I'm gonna cut out some squares, and then I'm just gonna make little damage areas for this stuff. Like I said, I'm not sure how I'm gonna scale it perfectly, but I'm gonna do my best. For the back here, you're probably gonna want to use that last image I was on. But overall, yeah, that's how you're gonna want to do your damage. Sorry if I was just kind of talking kind of weird today. I mean, I don't really feel good for some reason, but I want to make sure to get this video made for all of you. So I'm hoping in the next part that we're gonna go ahead and put the masking fluid down. I'll show that. I know I've done little quick videos of me putting on masking fluid, but I'll do an actual video of me tracing down these stencils with the trace down paper and then masking that off. Yeah, until next time, everyone. Hope your helmet's coming along well, if you're painting along with me, and if you're not, hopefully in the future when you do one, it turns out well. Hopefully this video has helped you so far. Don't forget, I know I've said on my Instagram, I have a new Discord, and everyone can come by and chat. It's just kind of a place for everyone to kind of hang out. You can talk about props, people can play games together, kind of just trying to build a community together of everyone, not just some kind of place where it's strictly prop talking. There are places in that Discord for that where you can show off your props and talk to other people about it. And then eventually I'm going to be doing just little sessions where we'll all just chat together and we can talk about whatever. You guys can ask me questions or whatever you want to do. But in the meantime, everyone, I hope you have a great day. Your helmet's coming along well, like I said, and take care. See you in the next video.